You are now listening to We Are Crayons, the podcast. Extraordinary conversations with Trinidad and Tobago's creative thinkers and makers. We'll delve into their processes, their struggles, and what drives them to execute continually as creative individuals. I'm your host, Donna McNichol. Enjoy. This podcast is a production of A Big Box of Crayons. Please review and rate the show by going to podchaser.com/wearecrayons the podcast. You can help support the show by buying us a coffee or two at buymeacoffee.com/wearecrayons. This is We Are Crayons podcast, and we are speaking with Nikeisha Joseph, copywriter, photographer, all-time chill, so we'll find out a lot more about Nikeisha. So Nikeisha, please tell us who you are and what do you do?
All right, greetings. So I'm a copywriter with McCann Porter Spain, one of the leading advertising agencies in the country. But when I don't feel like that, it just feel like peace now. And it's only when you pull back, it's like, hey, we do amazing work. But like when you're there, it's like, you're in it now. I've been working there for 11 years, which is crazy.
Nice, long time.
Yeah, juicy, long time. And I am also a photographer for around the same time. And, writer and that kind of thing. Try to do a little poetry and that kind of thing. So that's overview.
From your youngest age, were you always a creative person? Did you consider yourself to be creative? What were you like as a child?
Right. As a child, I think I was sheltered. And I think I was kind of sheltered by choice, I guess. I guess now they call it introverted. So I chose to stay home and read a lot. I chose to stay home and watch a lot of movies. My stepfather, it was weird. He thought that we shouldn't watch Sesame Street. So he he was much older. So he was from a different generation. So he didn't understand this puppet thing. Right. So he was like, we shouldn't watch Sesame Street. We should watch John Wayne movies with him and Steve McQueen and the Mission Impossibles and that kind of thing. So my brother and I grew up watching those movies. And I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but I was shaping our mind. So, and I also grew up, because he was much older, I grew up listening to his music, which was the Kitcheners and a lot of Percy Sledge, a lot of Nat King Cole. Granted, it was just that one Nat King Cole record, Ramblin' Rose, I know it by heart. But so we kind of got that appetite for art, but art outside of our generation. And but I didn't know what was going on in my brain at the time. I don't have a very big family, so I don't know what my cousin is do that ting. I just know my brother liked to draw, and I like just stuff. I wasn't really sure. So I didn't know that I was a creative at that time. I just know what I liked, and I like music, and I like words. I like to read. I like to study my books and that kind of thing. So yeah.
So where did you go to school?
I went to school at St. George's,
right,
in Barataria, St. George's College. And I did art. I remember when we had to choose subjects, I didn't know what to choose. And I told my friend, could you pick my subjects for me? But just make sure I'd have arts in it. I remember telling her that. Right. Big up to Crystal Andrews. I should probably message her and thank her. I said, just make sure I have arts. And she picked art and literature, and I did languages. Not because I wanted to, because it just made sense.
Right.
And yeah, literature and art is basically who I am.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And George's was where things started to coalesce. So, I know what I like, but it started to be like, oh, this could be something. but it was still murky at that time, you know?
Right. And when did it become clearer for you then that, yeah, this is
Right.
the path that I want to go down?
So for 7 years, I worked at a insurance company, right? And while I was there, again, I still knew what I liked, but I wasn't doing it, you know? And I remember just being so frustrated. And I remember being in a taxi and crying in the taxi on the way to work. And this lady next to me, she said, "What happened?" And I said, "I'm not happy and I don't know what to do in my life." I was in my early 20s, you know, and you know, when you're young, you think you're supposed to have stuff figured out and that kind of thing. I was so frustrated and I was putting pressure on myself to figure it out right away because, you know, you feel you have a timeline now, you know. So I started to cry and she was like, sit down and try to figure it out. But also just relax yourself, you know? And I sat down and I started to work it out. If I like art and artistic things, I should talk to people who do those things, you know? Because I knew my job was nice, it was cute, you know, but I was an astronaut amongst clerical assistants. I was a different person and I just wasn't happy.
Right.
So I started to talk to people, and one of the people I spoke to was my brother, you know, because he's younger than me, but he was drawing all the time. He was doing what he wanted to do. And he was like, if you don't know what you want to do, just go and do courses. And I did illustration. I did acting. I did a course of acting, stage management, writing and that kind of thing. I did all these little things. I did graphic design, trying to figure out where I'm going to fit, you know? And then when I did the acting class, then I was like, okay, all right. I don't know if I want to be an actress, but I know I like to express myself. I like to express myself through words and that kind of thing. And just over time, I was like, I like to write. And then through the drama thing, the girl who was running the course, she said, the next course I want to do is photography. And I'm trying to get people. You want to do it? And I was like, okay, I don't have a camera, you know, but I could try, because I was drawing at the time and I was like, I'm not that good, you know, but if I take pictures, that'll be easier than drawing, because I'll get lights and I'll be able to get expression, but I just won't have to draw it. I'll be able to work with people. And I was like, photography made sense. And then I did that course and I was like, I like this thing. I really like this thing. And also, I like people, you know. I find, which is a good and a bad thing, as we so drawn to people, and that's kind of getting me in trouble because it's kind of make fellas think I like them. Girls like, whoa, what's happening? Because as we so into people, you know, I like to ask people questions and I kind of think with photography, I get to capture their, you know, external beauty, but then I also get to connect with them. So it's be more for me than for them.
Right.
You know, it is so satisfying, you know, and it's so much more than the picture. It's about the moment. I know that word cliche now, especially because I'm working in advertising, but I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. So kind of walk me through. So you did the course, you did that.
Right.
So then, like,
the advertising thing.
Is there a moment where you were like, you wrote your first, I don't know, a poem or whatever it is, and you said, and the light just clicked and says like, yeah, that's it?
Nah, it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that.
So tell me, how did it happen for you?
Through just talking to people. I was living a life that I think I wanted to live, or doing things I wanted to do. Right. So I started to take pictures and I was like, I like this. But work-wise, 9 to 5-wise, okay, so again, I was working in the insurance company, still talking to people and that kind of thing. And I remember this woman came. She was a financial advisor, and she came to do a lecture to all the staff about just financial security and that kind of thing. Right. And I just remember she was in a white pantsuit, and I was like, she's an angel. And it was slicked back, and she just looked so put together. Right. You know, and me being a young woman and trying to find myself, And I was like, this woman looks so put together. She looked like she knows what she about. And it was the first time I was actually not put off by insurance agents.
Right.
You know, she was just
Working in an insurance company.
Yeah, but she was talking to you about life. You know, she's talking to you about life and like how to get yourself together. And I was like, I like this woman. So after the lecture, I went over to her and I said, I'm trying to find a new job, but I don't know how. I like art, but I also want to make money, you know? And I wasn't good enough in photography yet to like say I'm going to do it on my own and that kind of thing. I didn't have enough confidence either. So she said, I could put you on to a marketing manager in another company. I don't want to say the company.
Yeah, sure.
And you could talk to her. And when I had a conversation with that woman, and she said, you sounding like you should be in advertising because you sounding like all the stuff you like, you'll be able to do that in advertising. You like photography, you like people, you like understanding people. Advertising is for you. Marketing will make you money, but you're looking like you're more into the creative side. I was like, me never hear about that in Trinidad, you know. She's like, just look into it. So I started to go into the phone book and all the advertising agencies, and I started to send out my resumes and that kind of thing. And then I got a job in the same building I was working. I worked there for 7 years, as I said. In the same building, there was an architectural firm downstairs, and I got a job as a marketing assistant there. And I was doing graphics and also making tea. I was doing administrative work, secretarial work, and also doing graphics. And that was my first look into what it's like to be amongst creatives because I was working with architects, you know. And I think it was good that I worked there before working in advertising because I was working in a very corporate job. So working in an architectural firm was corporate but artsy. If I jumped straight into advertising, I think my head would explode.
Right. So you had a transition. Yeah.
It's a 180, you know. 6 months after I got that job, I got a call from McCann. And
that's a good call to get from just starting out.
I was comfortable in the architectural firm. I was like, I should take this, you know. And I went for the interview, and I didn't want to take it. And the guy who's my boss now, he was like, I think you should, you know. Cut long story short, I took the job and that kind of thing. And that was the first time I started to really write, you know. And before that, as I said, I was still trying to find myself. Before that, I knew I like words, but I never really had the confidence to write. But then you're working in advertising, you don't have time to not have confidence because you have to write a 30-second script in no time. You have to write a TV ad in a day or less, you know? So that's when I started to write, you know? Advertising, copywriting is not long format writing. So it's a little different. So I remember when I started, I didn't consider myself a writer. I consider myself a copywriter, but it's still writing. And start working in McCann is when I really started to write. Other than in secondary school is when I really started to write.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. So then how would you say being involved in McCann in that space, how has that helped you develop as a creative person?
Right. It is the bulk of how I've become a creative. Firstly, it's been around other creatives. Is build your confidence and is open your mind, you know. And also too, because the environment, you have to produce, you know, you don't have the cover of I'm scared or I can't do it. You have to do it, you know. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's some kind of battlefield, but I mean, it's your job. So you have to produce, you know. So being in an advertising agency and being a copywriter, you don't just write, you have to ideate. You know, you have to think about big ideas and you have to whittle them down into press, radio, TV, billboards, and now digital marketing. You know, you have to do so many things. And in that, you have to explore. You have to read, you have to go Parang and Paramin, you have to go down south, you have to travel, you know what I'm saying, to be able to produce and to do a good job at your job, you know. So because I was in an environment where I had to produce, I had to have experiences, and those experiences aided my creativity. Actually, that's one of the pieces of advice I got when I started there. to be a good writer, you have to have experiences, because that's the only way. And that's the thing about being a copywriter. 1 minute I'm writing about a car, and 1 minute I'm writing about groceries. 1 minute I'm writing from a man's perspective, and I'm writing from a woman's perspective. 1 minute I'm writing about a stereotype, and 1 minute I'm writing about a trailblazer. It's like you straddle so many different worlds, so many trends. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. And you can't not develop your creativity being in an environment like that. You just can't. Because you're getting paid to do it, so it kind of forcing you to, and then you're inspired to do it. Just being around the people.
Right.
And when you put out work and it's like, I did that, let me do that again, So yeah. So that's what really helped me.
Interesting. You keep mentioning having to do it because it's your job.
Yeah.
But I think that is what being professional is. Say, for instance, using art, just for lack of a better phrase. You're not doing it for your own pleasure from that point of view. So we can't, as a professional creative, you can't, as you say, relax and say, well, I'm not feeling like doing it today. There's none of that.
You can't use the excuse of writer's block.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
And actually, that's something that actually working with Crayons, actually, it was interesting to talk to other creators about that.
Right.
About the fact that creativity is not an airy-fairy thing. And it's not only about a vibe. It's about, sometimes it's about sitting and getting the vibe, and sometimes it's about going after the vibe. At least that's my experience.
Right.
Because if you just waiting on a vibe, you might end up having no work. And I have seen that in myself. I don't feel like writing. I don't feel like doing this shoot. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not feeling it. But it's only when I go, it come. I meet my muse as opposed to waiting for my muse to come to me. And advertising has taught me that, that, and I was actually going back to school too. I went to do literature. And, I would sit and write an essay in a half hour, a 5-page essay. But when I have to do it on my own, it's taking weeks. You know what I'm saying? I think that as creators, sometimes we sell ourselves short because, no, that's not what I want to say. I want to say that sometimes it's better just to get it done. And sometimes when you get it done, you realize this is not so bad. At least I could, even if it's not good, I could edit it. I could still work on it, but at least but you have to try to get it out. Correct. Because sometimes we just want it to be perfect, but it's perfect in your head and it's not out in the world. And that is, the older I get, the more I realize how detrimental that is.
Right, got you.
Because you just become overripe fruit. Your gifts become overripe fruit in your belly. And that's...
Yeah. So good segue. What does creativity mean to you then?
I could regurgitate a lot of the things I've heard and I agree with, which is creativity is solving problems, pulling things out of the sky and trying to see how they fit together and how they work. But honestly, creativity is, you can't describe it, it is from God. It is piece of God that was given to you to give back to the world. And I know that sounds like airy-fairy thing, but I really do believe it. Because I just think creativity is evidence of a creator, And that's why you can't just keep it in your belly. You can't keep it in your head. I wish, and I know I'm a writer, and I wish I could articulate it better. But it is evidence of the creator.
Right.
It's evidence because we are flesh and blood. How we making music, how we making words that could move somebody else. That had to come from an intelligent, limitless source.
I love words.
Yeah.
I was going to say I don't know the reason why. And I guess because I say I don't know the reason why because I really can't explain why. But can you, as a writer, can you explain why you love words so much, or what do you think drives you to write?
What does drive me to write? I feel like writing is a way of expressing beauty, you know, just like taking pictures or making music. And beauty should be expressed. And it's because of that unseen God thing inside of me. And that God thing inside of me expresses itself through words. I can't not do it through words. So it's not like I could say why words work. This is the piece of God in me, and the piece of God in me is what I'm trying to say. That's what God gave me to do, you know? That's just it, you know? And I say I do it all the time, but
Right.
that's what was given, you know?
Got you. And do you have any rituals or anything that you need to put yourself again in a frame of mind to do? Do you have any of those things? How does your process work?
Because I work in advertising, I don't have a ritual because usually things are very time sensitive. So it's just a matter of sometimes I need to talk to myself and say, Keisha, it's time to work. You know what I'm saying? It's enough reading about the energy industry. You know what to write. Write. You know? Some ritual, we just be like reassuring myself, telling myself it's time to go. But other times when I do have the time, it's really about just saturating yourself with information, you know, because, you know, you just read about it, you give yourself the information, and then it is coalesced in your brain, and then it's come out. But you have to sit down and get ready to work, and it's come out, you know. But it's not really a ritual per se. It's about saturation and then working.
So that's your process.
Yeah, I would say.
You fill up and then you could release.
And put myself in a place to release. Yeah.
Is there a favorite piece of literature that you draw on a consistent basis or anything like that?
Not really. In terms of like books and that kind of thing, I tend to veer towards nonfiction and books about inspiration, books about our capacity as human beings and that kind of thing. Like my favorite book is The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, and that's about, you know, that's talk about concepts like love and love being work and love being he describes love as the extension of yourself for the betterment of somebody else. So like those kind of things is the things I like to read about, you know, the mind and our limitlessness as human beings and that kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that, yeah, I would say, yeah, those are the kind of things that I am attracted to. In words and in books and in literature and that kind of thing, mostly about human potential. And even in the work that I do at my job, I tend to always go in that direction. So if I'm working on like because we have a milk brand, so I try to talk about not just cooking, but about the memories attached to cooking and try not to be cliche, but the memories that are attached to cooking, the tradition that are attached to cooking, the feeling that are attached to cooking, the creativity that are attached to cooking, because that's the thing. I'm more interested in the emotion of it, you know? Yeah.
In terms of your path, going through, you know, changing careers and all of that, overcoming the confidence bit, what other struggles do you face executing on your creativity? And how do you overcome those things?
My biggest struggle is perfection. That's my biggest struggle. You know, there's a lot that I want to do, and I am going to do it. You know, it's like inevitable. But I think it's slower than I would like it to be, because of you just want to be perfect out the gate now, you know? And I need to stop that. And that's one of the reasons I do this podcast. Because it's like...
Well, thank you very much.
Because it's like, yeah, I'm not perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that is a constant, is a daily deliberation in my mind. How am I gonna push myself out of my comfort zone? You know, because that's the only way. That's the only way you're gonna live your best life. That's the only way. So that's actually my mantra. That was actually my mantra for this year: progress over perfection. Because
I love that.
Because it's just the only way. Like I can't it's kind of
I
self-explanatory.
should make that a t-shirt.
Actually was thinking about like if I were to ever get a tattoo, that would be my tattoo.
Yeah.
And I think that should be a mantra for all creatives. You know, talking to other creators, you know, you realize that that's their struggle as well. Or it's something that they know that they're not gonna let that keep them back.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Perfection is a like an ogre. It's just this nasty ogre. It's like blah blah. You know, trying to jump you all the time. And it's like, but you could duck him.
Yeah.
You know? Just you have to be focused. And you have to know that you're not supposed to only walk on the sunny days if you want to get to your destination. You can't just wait for the sun to say, okay, I'm going to walk today. You have to walk through the rain and the hail and that kind of thing. And that's the only way you're going to get to your destination. Because if you only walk on the sunny days, you're going to get there in 15 years when you could have get there, you know, in 2. You know? So that's something I constantly have to tell myself. It's okay if you only put in a half hour today. The half hours is build up. Because, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, but I need to put in 2 hours every day.
Right.
But half hour...
Yeah.
It's okay if that's all I could do.
That's where we talk quality over quantity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. You do what you can, but you constantly just keep doing it. You know? That's how you get better.
How then do you evaluate whether you are trying to be a perfectionist or this piece of work here is of a quality enough that it can go out into the world? Or is it that the quality doesn't matter, but once it gets out into the world? How do you make that distinction?
Well, I still struggle with it. I do think that at least my photography is of a particular quality to go out into the world, but I still struggle with, is it good enough? But as I say, because progress over perfection is on my mind, I try to always do it. I try to put out more work. I think I've been writing long enough and shooting long enough to have a particular amount of confidence. But I would say that I try to have benchmarks in terms of what my work should sound like, in terms of my words, how it should be read. I try to like look at other people's work and that kind of thing. I like this. I think I could do something like that. Mix it up with what I like to do and that kind of thing. In terms of my pictures and that kind of thing, my photography. I know what I want my work to look like. So if I find it looks similar to the work that I like, or it getting the reaction from the subjects, I know that is good enough quality.
Right.
And even if it's not 1,000% of what I would have liked it to look like, because progress over perfection is on my mind, I will still try to put it out or share it with somebody, or WhatsApp them or something. You know, so I think looking at the standard that out there and judging it against your own is a good evaluation, but also just keep on just pushing yourself, even if it's not to that standard yet.
Right.
You know?
What to you is the culture of Trinidad and Tobago?
Our culture is so powerful and so enviable. I'm so proud of Trinidadian culture. Our culture is, I guess the best way I could say it is colorful, you know? I remember somebody telling me, we are island of extroverts, you know? And if we wouldn't be one color, we are so many colors, and it's reflected in how our music songs, in the way we speak, the fact that we talk like we singing, the way we dance. Even the people who don't have much rhythm still have the confidence to like if they have rhythm. You know, we are color, I guess, you know? And also too, because of our history, we have a particular racial mix, and that has made us even more colorful than other islands, you know, and our food even more flavorful, and our music even more intense and layered, you know, and our people even more open-minded than somebody else. Like say we're going on in the States now. what do you mean you're afraid of Muslims? Or afraid of this person? Like, this person's my neighbor. You know what I'm saying? And that is the color that has come through our history, even though it started kind of rough. We are left with a lot of color right now, and I am so fascinated by that and so proud of that. I don't walk around with a red, black, and white all the time, but I get triggered when I hear people about talk Trinidad.
Yeah.
I get triggered. Even when even conversation about crime, it's hurt me so much because it blocking from so much beauty. So much beauty. And again, working with Crayons and being able to talk to local creatives. I feel so proud that so many young people coming up and want to represent Trinidad and Tobago in this way, And also too, I had the opportunity to work with one of our clients because they were a sponsor for the Tobago Heritage Festival. So I was able to appreciate Tobago in a way that I never was able to appreciate it before. Tobago's culture is a bit more Afrocentric than Trinidad. And me being of African descent, it was beautiful to be able to see Afro-Caribbean culture right across the road in Tobago. It was a beautiful experience. The times I was able to go to Tobago Heritage Festival and see how, the dancing of the cocoa and all these things came out of pain, but now we celebrate it and now we are able to find the stories in it and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I am very, very proud to be a Trinidadian. Very, very proud and very, very proud of our culture. And in whatever way I can, I want to be able to help push that forward,
My question then would fall to you. Are there any other creative people that you look up to locally? Mm-hmm. And if you could tell me why.
Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, it wouldn't be any specific names. I have to think about it some more. But I mean, I am inspired by anybody that pushing. I'm inspired by anybody that pushing because, again, I understand the importance as a creative to push yourself. So, I mean, the people I work with really inspire me because they're wildly creative. The people I've met through, just, going out and you're meeting people and saying, and you're talking to people. I'm inspired by people that push. In terms of the names that you might know.
Oh, don't know.
Oh, true. Like I have a friend, Crystal Antoine Alain.
Mm-hmm.
She has a jewelry line called Coco Vintage. Her brand is based on a local and Caribbean aesthetic. Again, representing the culture. I love that. Representing the culture in a way that is not super cliche as well, because we are so much more than just, coconut shells and that kind of thing. And that's nice. But, there's other ways to express, oh gosh, I wish more people would come to my mind because there are a lot of people I do admire, but I'm also attracted and inspired by people with, who are able to articulate their love for their creativity a little bit more than just what's the latest trend. They have an understanding of the beauty of what they're doing. So if it is that they are a baker, it's not just about how the thing tastes, but how the thing look, how the thing does make somebody feel, why they want to bake this cake. I'm inspired by creators like that, But again, mostly people that push themselves out to the comfort zone because they will eventually become a giant. And that is, I love that. I love being around that kind of energy.
Gotcha. Working within the advertising industry, do you think that advertising has a responsibility because it plays a role within the society?
1000%. I believe that. I believe we do have a responsibility, especially now. And I know that feminism is trending. And trendy things you usually kind of like roll your eyes at. But feminism is important. I mean, men and women have profited from feminism. If it wasn't for feminism, your mom wouldn't be able to work. You know what I'm saying? Your mom wouldn't be able to be the full woman that she was meant to be. In advertising, feminism should be remembered. So I do think that there is a responsibility. We have a responsibility. And sometimes, because you try to get work out or you're trying to sell a product, sometimes things like feminism or things like charity or things like local culture, they kind of left aside. And it's sad. But when there's an opportunity to do it, I jump at the chance at it. because it takes money to get a message out, and in advertising, our clients usually have the money to get a message out. So if you could do your little part to help use their money to get a particular message out.
Gotcha.
Yes, you're trying to sell phones, but if you could do so in a way that not degrading somebody and do so in a way that could give back to somebody, I find that is utilizing advertising to its best. Not just to sell a product, not just to make a cool slang or a cool tagline and that kind of thing, but actually help people. Advertising is super powerful. And since it's super powerful, we should wield that power in a particular way.
Totally agree with you. Let me just talk about your photography for a little bit. What would you say is your style?
Right.
What do you draw to?
People. So in photography, that would be more portraiture and photojournalism and that kind of thing. I try the nature thing. It's not for me. I try still life and that kind of thing. It'll talk back to you. When you're shooting an apple, it'll talk back to you. And people is my thing. In terms of the aesthetic, it's something that I'm always working on. I try to be modern, but I try not to be too trendy. Try to keep it classic. Try to keep it classic because that's what's be timeless. I love capturing us. Well, I know it sounds cliche, but I love capturing a smile. I love when I show somebody the picture and be like, that is me? You're looking so cripsy. I love that.
Right.
I love showing people themselves in a way that they probably didn't see it before. Especially women. It's so much messages about you're not nice and you're too fat and thing. And when you're actually able to show a girl that may not be conventionally beautiful, that may not be the size that she want to be, that, all right, cool, I know you're thing and you don't like the thing about yourself, but look at this picture, you're looking real nice, Jed. I love that. And I can't get that from shooting other things, So yeah. Portraiture is my main thing,
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, what would you like to be remembered for?
Gosh, it's real cliche, but I would like to remember for making a difference. I don't know. I know I've never been anything else but human, right? But humans are amazing, right? Humans are amazing because we are an extension of God now. Right? This is something that always stuck with me. I remember reading this book called The Purpose-Driven Life by Miles Monroe. And he talked about purpose. He said, if you put a television in the ocean, it's not going to come on now, right? Because it was never meant to be in the ocean. So how would you know what environment you're supposed to be in, what you're supposed to be doing, is because you have to reconnect with the person that made you. Or whatever made you. Because a table wouldn't really be a table and act like a table unless the creator of the table say, this is a table and this is what a table is do, right? That's how a table would know its purpose. And that's how we would know our purpose, by reconnecting with that intelligence source that made us. So what I would like to be remembered for is executing my purpose, And I know that I have understanding my purpose because it's through words and it's through images and it's through helping people tell stories and that kind of thing. And I know that will continue to evolve and get big over time. But whatever my purpose is, I would like to be remembered for expressing that, because I feel like that's the most important thing you could do and the best thing you could do for the creator. Because that's what the creator put you here for. You know what I'm saying? You were created by your creator, so you might as well ask the creator what you need to do, and whatever that is your purpose, and that's what you have to continue doing for the rest of your life. Not just, I want to say reconnect with God. I ain't talking about don't curse, even though if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Or don't wear short clothes, if that's what you want to do, is fine. But I'm talking about what the Father, or whatever you want to call him, or her, or whatever, what did the creator put you here to do? And that's what I would like to be remembered for, doing what I'm supposed to do.
Thank you very, very, very much, Nikeisha. So tell the world, where can they find more of your work?
Right.
Instagram, whatever you have.
So right now, a blog is coming soon, but right now, photography is at Photography by Nikeisha on Instagram, Nikeisha. That's it for now. Be a lot more in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikeisha, once again, and looking forward to seeing more of your work.
Thank you, Dano.
Please share this episode with someone who would find it valuable. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts to get new episodes as they become available. Find additional content on abigboxofcrayons.com. Follow us on Instagram at abigboxofcrayons. We Are Crayons, the podcast, is a production of A Big Box of Crayons. All rights reserved. Until next time, remember, we are all the same in the fact that we'll never be the same. Stay colorful, and thank you for listening.